So this is a cache, manpower, and banana curve tutorial. So your homework is going to look something like this, obviously different due dates on it, but we're asking for you to make a manpower loaded chart, a cash flow chart, and a progress S curve with both the late and early dates displayed, which will create a banana curve. So you're given this table here with the data on it corresponding to this CPM schedule down here. It's giving you the duration, number of men per day, and the individual total cost. The first obvious thing I would suggest to do is to figure out the cost per day of every single activity, which is just dividing the duration into the total cost. So 100 here and so forth. Just do that quick math right here. If you want to make it faster, you could recreate this table in Excel and then just divide it in and just copy and paste. It's up to you, but you need to do this math. Then you're going to need to come over to Excel. So right now I've just opened Excel and I pasted in what our objective is. So this isn't in Excel, this thing I'm moving around right here. This is pasted in Excel from the PowerPoint lecture from one of the examples. Our goal is to create this. I just have it here for reference of what we're trying to make. Now I'm not going to fully make it in this video because then you could just follow it click by click and do exactly what I do and turn it in and get it 100%. You don't learn anything. I'm going to verbally walk you through it, how to make it, so I know not everyone has the same Excel skills. If you know Excel, it could be fairly straightforward and you just create this little table, but that's what I'm going to walk everyone through so everyone's on the same page. So I'm just going to create a new tab so it's fresh. Now I have just two tabs down here, one to show what the reference of what I want it to look like, and then just a blank Excel sheet. So the first thing to notice is like our cells are wider than they are for what we want it to be. So just like for homework 2 when we made a bar chart, we just need to make a bar chart. That's the first step up here, and the first thing I do with making a bar chart in Excel is just give myself the name, activity name, probably the calendar dates. I'll probably put this one up top, calendar days, something like that. You can type it all out. So, because we have the activity and then we have like the calendar days of months or whatever up here. They have it one more over. It doesn't really matter all that much. But we want to make the cells, like I was just previously talking about, we want to make the cells more square-like, and the best way to do that is just highlight all columns. It doesn't matter how much. You could add more later on. I just did an arbitrary amount. Then right-click on the top of the green bar, then click column width. This just gives you some arbitrary numbers. It's not inches or meters or kilometers or whatever. It's just some arbitrary number, unitless. So it says 10 right now, gives it the width of whatever it has. So 5 is in the middle. It's not approximately square, so maybe a little less than that. 4, somewhere in 3, maybe 3.5. I'm just taking a stab at it like I did in the lecture. In class, that's approximately square. That's fine. And then I'm just going to merge all these across the top so it looks a little more similar to what we're going for. So the activity name, months, they're all nice and square. Doesn't have to be exact. Then you just list your activity names here. And oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to type A, B. Well, maybe your activity name is B, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, just list all those. Okay, you have these to list right here. Now, when I talked about it in the lecture, there's a priority of ordering these. These are just listed in alphabetical order. But when you order them here, you need to list them in priority of their start date, their finish date, then their float. Please look at the lecture again for more detail on that, but it is not in this order: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, J, K, P, R, T, which is alphabetized. It will sort of correspond to that at the beginning because A is the first activity. But then you have these 3 activities that start in the same time. B, D, and C start on the same time, but they all have different durations. So the question is, which one goes after A? Is it B, D, or C? Look at the lecture for more details on describing that. You prioritize the start dates then the finish dates, whoever has the shortest finish dates, and then whichever one has the least amount of float, 0 being the least. So you need to put that in a specific order. Now I just wrote some letters here just for the sake of this example. Then you need to come in and actually fill in your bars with however long they are, however long their durations are. These I'm just arbitrarily filling in a fake little schedule. It could be whatever color you want. I just chose red. It was defaulted to red, so whatever. When I go back, we're trucking along. It's looking good. I have the activity names here as a letter. I don't have months yet, so let's go ahead and actually add that. I need to add a row, so if I highlight the row, right click, press insert, that will give me this new row. I actually want activity name to be here and the calendar date to be here, so I want my calendar date to, we could just change this to months so it's consistent with my other example. Months or days or whatever. And this is all just consecutive. Okay, in my little calendar it's 7. Then some of these activities have float. Now to draw the little line that ends up in the middle is actually a little bit tedious to do in Excel. So if you know how to do it and you're comfortable doing it, by all means go ahead and do it. But I'm perfectly fine with you just choosing a different color and highlighting it in the middle. So maybe A has 1 day of float, and to show that, I'll just choose a different color. Make sure if you're printing this on black and white that you could tell the difference between them. So maybe this guy has this many days of float, and this guy has this many days of float, and so forth, right? Your schedule is going to be a lot bigger with days of float. So you go back to your activities and see that this guy has 1 day of float, C has 4, E has 4, R has 13, P has 16, and so forth. So then you'll have that correspond to your chart. All right, so we're on track. We have the calendar dates or months or whatever that is. We have the activity listed here. Now we need these numbers. Okay, so where do we get these numbers from? So depending on if you're doing a man-loaded chart or a cash-loaded chart, which you need to do both for this, we come back over here. So this is the number of men needed. So if I'm doing the manpower loaded chart, then I'll just list these numbers directly on there. If I'm doing the cash flow chart or the cash loaded chart, then I'll write these numbers that you just had to do the math on. So whatever that is, you come back here, whatever it's correspond to. A has 1 for men, B has 2, and so forth. You come back over here and write that physically on here. Type it since you're using a computer. So I'm just choosing arbitrary numbers that doesn't correspond to your homework. But notice that for row B, or whichever, any activity that has multiple, they always should be the same number. 2. So this one has 2 activities in it. And if this one has a 5, then this one must also have a 5. This one has a 2, then this one has a 2, then this one has a 2. It's consistent. It's broken down per month, so whatever that is. So again, arbitrary numbers for the example. So we're looking very similar to this. The next thing is the total down here in thousands. So total, you could put in parentheses in thousands or in millions or whatever you want, just so it kind of fits. I just gonna do in thou, something like that, or in K dollars, something like that. And then I'm just gonna use Excel to my advantage and just do equals sum equation and tell it to just add up whatever's above it. And I could just close the equation. So 2 plus nothing plus nothing plus nothing is 2. Then I could just copy this cell and paste it along here. There's a few ways to do it. You could select it, right click, press copy, paste it. You could do the keyboard command of Control C and Control V. The easiest, in my opinion, is this little green square that's in the right hand corner. You could hover over it, see the cursor changes from the white plus sign to the black plus sign. If you click, hold, and drag, that's copying that equation in there. And we can confirm it worked, especially with my simple numbers. 2 and 1 is 3, 2 and 0 is 2, 2 and 5 is 7, 5 plus nothing is 0, 3 and 2 is 5, and so forth. So that would be your total line. And cool, we're good with that. So it looks just like it. Cool, but different number, bigger, different numbers. The next thing we need to do is this histogram down here. Now, if we went about this way of like just forcing it, making the cells smaller, writing the numbers in, and doing all that, it would be a nightmare. It'd be a lot harder to do in Excel. Hey, but Excel plots graphs for me. That's the primary function of Excel. So why don't I just do that? And I'm perfectly acceptable of accepting that. So just highlight these numbers that you have to create the histogram, and then come over to Insert. I'm using a Mac, so it might look a little different if you're using PC, but you need to insert a table. A chart. So there's like a little chart area over here, and which one of these looks like what we want? Well, one of these two looks like what we want in the little picture. If I click on it, I get some examples. If I hover over it in PC, it'll give you a projected example of what it's going to look like in PC. In Mac, fortunately, doesn't give that to me, but this will be fine. I click that, and look at that. It looks like the histogram that we want. Okay. I know that the bars don't actually touch each other. That's totally fine. I will accept this. I recommend it to all my students in this class to just do this. This is fine. It's way easier than actually trying to draw this out by hand. So the only thing from here is I just will, actually ask you to label it all. So cash flow histogram, if that's the one that we're doing. And then give it an axis title and all that. So for Mac, I come up here. I'm under the chart design, add chart element, and I can add axis information, axis titles. That's what I want. So I want one on the horizontal, and then I want one on the vertical. And then I will actually label these. So duration, whatever we're working in months or days. I believe your homework assignment is in days. So then you would put days. The previous example had it in months. And this would be cost. And then we have enough room to write in thousands. Okay, then it's nice and labeled, and basically you're done for the cash flow version. Okay, then when you need to do this for Manpower as well. So the cool thing about Excel is I can just copy this entire sheet and don't have to start from scratch. So by doing that, I come down to the sheet I'm on. See, sheet 1 has the example, and sheet 2 has what I've just worked out. And then I'm just going to copy this entire sheet. So I right-clicked on the word sheet down here. I'm just going to do move or copy. And I want to copy sheet 2. I want to create a copy and click OK. So that you can't tell the difference right now because I haven't changed it. Now all you want to do is, if this was the cash loaded one, go back to your homework and you want to do the man loaded one. Well, you just need to highlight. You just need to input these numbers in instead of the cost. That's it, and you could see that this diagram will change. Let's put 5 here. As soon as I move in, the chart will change for me. 7, 7. The numbers are going to be drastically different, but I'm just showing you for the sake of an example. Again, all the numbers need to be the same across rows. And then your cash flow histogram will change automatically. And that's it. And you're done for the Manpower example. Now, the next thing we need to do, so I did the cash flow, I did the Manpower, we need to do the progress S-curve. Now, the progress S-curve is going to relate off of the cash flow one. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. Remember, in the lecture, we need to plot the cumulative cost instead of the per month or per day cost. So we need to get a new value. We need to get the cumulative cost. And so I'm just going to add that to the sheet here. And to get the cumulative cost, so on day 1, it's just the value of day 1. So that's just 2. So I'm just going to do equals whatever that value was. Oops. Alright. Doesn't like all the typos I put in. So equals that cell and press enter. Okay, so 2 plus nothing is 2. This one, we want to accumulate what we had previously had plus the next month. So 2 plus what? Plus 3. So the equation should just be equals what's to the left plus what's above it. That'll give me 5. So now this next cell should be what was to the left, what I accumulated, 5 plus what I occurred this month, 5 plus 5, which is always that same equation. So I could just do that trick and paste that here. Now I have the cumulative cost. Now I just want to plot this again. So I highlight the numbers I want to plot, insert. I don't want a bar chart anymore. I want like a line or scatter chart. So I'm going to do this actually a scatter chart. I want to do the scatter with the line, and look at that. It kind of looks like an S with my arbitrary numbers. Well, it's a little bit more straight than an S, but hey, we'll take it for this example. And then label the chart as well. Give it the, call it S curve, banana curve. Give it the duration down here. Give it the cost over here. You probably also want to add a legend, maybe like to the right. And you will probably want to, or I actually do recommend and require you for the homework, is to change this instead of series 1, call it, for right now, it's the early cost, because everything as early as possible. Now, some people may not exactly know how to do that, so I'll show you how to do that. And so we want to go to select data. Right here, it's still called series. So I will come over here and say name, this is early dates. Let's see, I changed early date. I did that by just clicking on the graph, coming up to select data, and changing the name to early date. Okay, so now we need to get the late date. Now, the way I recommend doing that, again, because we're going to have to change all of this, is to just make another copy of this. Make a copy of, make sure I want to make a copy of sheet 2 too. There we go. Now I have 2 of those. And to not confuse yourself, you could rename these. So this one would be early dates. Then this one would be right-clicking. Oops. And then this one would be the man-powered one. So now we're not confused. And then this is just the example, which you could delete later. You probably won't have on yours. It's just for my reference. Okay, so now I'm at the late dates. So right now I look exactly at the early dates because I haven't done anything. So in the late dates, I want to, like in the lecture, push everything as late as possible. So any of these activities that have float, they need to get pushed as far over as they can. So the easiest way to just do this in Excel with all the math already set up for us is just to copy and paste these bars over that would extract the information. So I'm just gonna highlight it. I'm using the keyboard shortcuts, which is cut. I'm gonna use cut, which is Command X or Control X, and then I'm gonna paste it where I want it, which is be Command or Control for PC V. And then you see the histogram already moved for me. Oops. Then we do the same thing here, Command Cut. They need to move over to their dates. Command Cut. This needs to just move over 1. And so do that for all of yours. And you notice that the histogram change, you actually don't need to turn in a histogram for the late date, so you can just delete that if you want. And then this graph changed, right? So I go back over here and see it changed automatically. It looks stupid because I just made up some random numbers and made this graph for this example. But notice that they are different. This one actually needs to be renamed. So I'm going to click the graph, come up here into chart design if it didn't automatically do it for you, select data, and now this is the late dates. Oops. And click OK. But right now I need them to be on the same graph. I have early date, late date. I need them to be on the same graph. Well, hopefully this works out. Sometimes it doesn't, but if I just select the line, the actual line that I want, and I copy and paste that just like I would anything else, I'm going to do the Command C option, come back over to this chart, click the chart, and press the Command V option, which would be paste. It should just pop right in, which it looks like it did. And it carried the date for it, and it changed it to a different color, so you can see. And it's almost like a banana, kind of looks like a seal almost if you use your imagination. But that's exactly how it would work out for you, and that's how you would do that. And then you don't actually even need to turn this one in. Don't delete it though, however, because I think you might delete this information over here, but just put it all together in one PDF and print it all out together. So then you would turn this in, this in, this in, and the Manpower one. And that's basically how you do it. You just need to put your exact information in, put it in the proper order, and that's it. Make sure you just follow these steps. Again, make sure on this chart, I didn't do it, but how I did it over here, I labeled everything. You would title this banana chart, give it an axis title down here, duration in months or days, and then the cumulative cost in thousands. So make sure you label those. I did it in my example as I did it over here. And that is it for this example.